What if every disruption in your life that was actually a doorway? What if discomfort wasn't a punishment, but a guide? Have you ever considered that change isn't your enemy, but your teacher? Most people resist change. They fear it, run from it. But the Stoics, they embraced it. They saw in change the seed of transformation, the spark of wisdom, the challenge that forges strength. If you're ready to stop fearing change and start using it to become who you're meant to be, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button, because this journey isn't about avoiding life's storms. It's about learning how to walk through them with purpose, power, and peace. Let's dive into the wisdom of Stoicism and uncover how change is not just inevitable. It's your greatest advantage. 1. Change is not the enemy. It's the beginning of power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change." This wasn't a passing remark. It was a declaration of how the Stoics viewed the world. To be them, change was not something to resist, avoid, or resent. It was an essential ingredient of life itself. Change, in all its discomfort and unpredictability, was the mechanism through which growth occurred. Most people fear change. They fear losing what is familiar, even if it is dysfunctional. They fear uncertainty because it threatens the illusion of control. But the Stoics knew better. They recognized that resisting change was like standing in a river and trying to stop its flow with your bare hands. Futile, exhausting, and ultimately a source of suffering. Life is in constant motion. The seasons turn without asking your permission. Children grow up. Friends drift apart. Careers shift. Fortunes rise and fall. Every aspect of your life is subject to the law of impermanence. The Stoics understood that true peace comes not from controlling these forces, but from learning to move with them. Change was not chaos. It was nature's method of renewal. To embrace change is to accept life's invitation to grow. Every transition, no matter how painful, holds the seed of transformation. Whether you're leaving a job, ending a relationship, facing a health challenge, or stepping into an unfamiliar role, these moments are not dead ends. They are beginnings. They are doorways to versions of yourself you haven't met yet. The Stoics didn't merely cope with change, they sought to master it. They believed that the person who could remain centered amidst shifting circumstances was powerful beyond measure. This mastery begins with letting go of the illusion of control. You cannot dictate the flow of life, but you can decide how you respond to it. When you stop seeing change as a threat and start seeing it as training, everything shifts. You begin to recognize that discomfort is not always a signal to retreat. It's often a sign you're stepping into a greater version of yourself. The caterpillar doesn't transform into a butterfly by staying comfortable. It must enter the cocoon, dissolve its old self, and emerge anew. In the same way, you must allow old versions of yourself to dissolve when life demands growth. Power, in the Stoic sense, is not dominance over others. It's dominion over yourself, your emotions, your responses, your inner state. And the path to that power runs straight through the landscape of change. If you run from change, you run from the opportunity to cultivate your strength. But if you lean into it, you gain the wisdom and resilience to meet life on your terms. Accept that change will come, often when you least expect it. Prepare not by trying to control outcomes, but by developing character. Fortify your mind with clarity, discipline, and humility. These are the tools that allow you to navigate uncertainty with confidence. These are the inner assets that no external storm can strip from you. So the next time life shifts beneath your feet, pause before reacting. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? That question alone can transform fear into awareness. You may not be able to choose what happens, but you always have the power to choose what it means. Change is not the enemy. It is the crucible in which your next level of strength is forged. Welcome it, not with fear, but with the calm readiness of someone who knows that transformation is life's greatest teacher. 2. Master the mind. Perception shapes your reality. Before you can transform your life, you must first transform your mind. Every experience you go through is filtered through your perception. It is not the external event that defines your experience, but your interpretation of that event. To the untrained mind, failure is devastation, but to the Stoic, failure is merely feedback, a stepping stone to mastery. Epictetus once said, "People are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." This is the foundation of Stoic psychology. Events are neutral. It is our beliefs about those events that create suffering or serenity. Lose your job? That's a fact. But whether you see that loss as a catastrophe or an opportunity to realign, your life is up to you. Perception then becomes the gatekeeper of your emotional world, and mastering it is essential if you want to live with clarity and resilience. The Stoics trained their minds the way an athlete trains their body. They examined their thoughts. They questioned their assumptions. They rewrote their inner dialogue until it aligned with reason rather than impulse. Think of your mind as a lens. If the lens is clouded with fear, pride, envy, or assumptions, the world will appear distorted. You'll see threats where there are none. You'll miss opportunities because they arrive dressed as obstacles. But clean the lens, purify your thinking, and reality comes into sharper focus. Training your perception begins with awareness. Notice the stories you tell yourself in difficult moments. When discomfort arises, do you immediately label it as punishment? Do you assume setbacks mean failure? Or can you pause, step back, and ask, is this actually a problem, or is it just uncomfortable? This shift in perception is not about denial. Stoics were not blind optimists. They didn't sugarcoat pain or pretend that loss didn't hurt. But they also didn't allow pain to define them. They chose to respond with intention, not reaction. The world cannot be changed by force alone, but your experience of the world can be radically changed by how you interpret it. That is your domain. That is your freedom. When you train your mind to see discomfort as a signal for growth, rather than a sentence of defeat, you begin to step into your power. Ask yourself, what meaning am I assigning to this situation? Is it based on truth or habit? Is my fear based on the present moment or on past pain? These questions unlock doors in the mind. They create space between stimulus and response, and in that space, you are free. Reality, as the Stoics saw it, is shaped not just by events, but by the inner narrative you construct around those events. To live wisely is to master that narrative, to not be swayed by every emotional impulse, but to hold firm in reason. It is a lifelong practice, but each step brings greater clarity, peace, and strength. So remember, the most powerful tool you have is your perception. Use it well. 3. Discomfort is the curriculum of greatness. In an age addicted to convenience, comfort is often seen as the goal: a comfortable home, a stress-free job, an easy life. But the Stoics would argue that comfort, while pleasant, is not where greatness is born. True strength of character, of mind, of spirit, is forged in discomfort. To the Stoic, discomfort was not the enemy, it was the teacher. It was the fire that revealed what you were made of. Think of the blacksmith who uses fire not to destroy metal, but to shape it. That is what discomfort does to the human spirit. It exposes weaknesses. It refines virtues. It builds grit, clarity, and resolve. The Stoics believed that pain and challenge were part of nature's instruction manual. They didn't run from struggle, they leaned into it. When life brought hardship, they asked, "What is this here to teach me?" They knew that the moments that tested them most were also the moments that revealed their deepest strength. Consider your own life. When did you grow the most? Was it during times of ease or times of adversity? Almost always, it's the hard seasons that shape us. The illness that forced you to reevaluate your health, the betrayal that taught you boundaries, the failure that fueled a reinvention. Discomfort is the catalyst of all meaningful transformation, but modern society has conditioned us to flee pain, to numb it with distractions, substances, or shallow comforts. This is a trap, because every time you run from discomfort, you rob yourself of the opportunity to grow. You stay soft, unchanged, dormant. The Stoics invite you to take the harder path, to see pain not as punishment, but as preparation. Every difficult conversation, every demanding task, every emotional trial, it's all part of the curriculum. Life is the school. Discomfort is the instructor, and greatness is the diploma. This doesn't mean you should seek suffering for its own sake, but when it comes, don't resist it blindly. Ask, how can I let this strengthen me? The gym doesn't build muscle by avoiding tension. The same is true for your soul. Every time you face discomfort with discipline and grace, you become more of who you were meant to be. So the next time you feel pressure, don't collapse. Don't numb it away. Breathe into it, learn from it, let it polish your rough edges. Let it reveal the power that was dormant within you. Because discomfort isn't your punishment. It's your training ground, and on that ground, if you are willing, you will discover the deepest kind of strength, the kind that no one can take from you. 4. Resilience through letting go. Attachment creates suffering, not always instantly, but eventually. The tighter you cling to a specific outcome, a person, a version of yourself, or even a future you've envisioned, the more pain you invite into your life when those things inevitably shift. And shift they will, because life is not static. It breathes, it moves, it evolves with or without your permission. The Stoics understood this deeply. Their teachings were not rooted in detachment as a cold dismissal of love, ambition, or hope. Rather, they practiced the art of letting go precisely because they valued peace, clarity, and inner strength. Letting go is not weakness. It does not mean becoming passive or uncaring. It means seeing reality as it is, not as you wish it to be, and choosing to respond to that reality with calm, courage, and purpose. When you cling to something, be it a job, a relationship, or an identity, you limit your flexibility. You become like a tree with rigid roots, unable to bend when the storm comes, and the storm always comes. Take the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. He was born into slavery, physically disabled, and stripped of many freedoms from birth. Yet his writings are filled with clarity, empowerment, and serenity. Why? Because he understood what he could and could not control. His body, his status, even his possessions, these were not truly his. But his thoughts, his judgments, his responses, those were his alone. And in mastering them, he found true freedom. This mindset is liberating. When you stop grasping for control over things outside of yourself, you reclaim energy that would have been wasted on frustration, anxiety, and resistance. That energy can now fuel growth, insight, and transformation. This is what the Stoics called living in accordance with nature, recognizing the impermanence of all things and choosing to align with the flow of life instead of fighting it. You may have heard the phrase, let go or be dragged. It's not just poetic, it's practical. Clinging to the past drags you out of the present. Clinging to expectations poisons your ability to appreciate what's real. And clinging to an identity, especially one formed by fear or ego, prevents you from evolving into your fullest self. So what does letting go look like in practice? It means allowing relationships to change and even end without bitterness. It means moving on from failures without shame. It means seeing setbacks not as punishments, but as redirections. And most importantly, it means choosing to respond, not react to the events that unfold around you. Acceptance is not surrender. It's not rolling over and letting life crush you. It's standing firm and saying, this may not be what I wanted, but I will grow from it. I will not let it define or destroy me. That's not passivity, that's power. This inner resilience, this unshakable core, is what Marcus Aurelius referred to when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacles life throws at you are not roadblocks. They are raw materials. But to use them well, you must first release your need for control. Letting go is also a practice in trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your ability to navigate change. And yes, even trust in life, not in the sense that it will always be easy, but in the sense that it is always offering you a chance to grow. When you let go of what no longer serves you, old fears, outdated beliefs, toxic attachments, you make space for what's next. You make space for healing, for clarity, for action. That is resilience. Not rigid strength, but the ability to bend, adapt, and keep moving forward. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to that's holding you back? What version of yourself are you protecting that no longer fits who you're becoming? What fear is keeping you rooted in a place you've already outgrown? Let it go. Not because it doesn't matter, but because you do. That's the Stoic way, and it's how you rise. 5. Adaptability and discipline, the blueprint of mastery. Power is not control over others. It is control over yourself. The person who can remain centered in chaos, who can pivot when the world shifts beneath their feet, who can choose action over reaction. This person is truly powerful. In the Stoic tradition, two qualities form the bedrock of personal mastery: adaptability and discipline. Discipline is the foundation. It is the deliberate practice of aligning your actions with your values, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Discipline is showing up, not just when you're motivated, but when you're tired, bored, frustrated, or uncertain. It's creating order within, even when the world outside is disorderly. But discipline without adaptability becomes rigidity, and rigidity breaks under pressure. That's where adaptability comes in. Adaptability is the ability to adjust your mindset and behavior in response to new circumstances. It's not weakness, it's strategic strength. The Stoics did not try to force the world to fit their preferences. They trained themselves to meet the world as it was and still thrive. Seneca, a Roman statesman and Stoic philosopher, wrote extensively about the unpredictability of life. He didn't rail against fate. He prepared for it. He cultivated a mind that could adapt to fortune and misfortune alike. "We suffer more in imagination than in reality," he wrote, highlighting how much of our struggle comes not from events themselves, but from our refusal to accept and adapt to them. Think of adaptability as your shield and discipline as your sword. One protects your peace, the other channels your power. Together, they make you formidable. Modern life throws challenges at you daily. Economic uncertainty, personal setbacks, emotional storms, shifting relationships. If you rely only on discipline, you may burn out. If you rely only on adaptability, you may drift. But if you balance both, flexibility with focus, you become unshakable. Discipline teaches you to act with intention. You wake up early not because it's trendy, but because it aligns with your goals. You eat well, move your body, protect your time. Not for praise, but because your future self depends on it. Every habit becomes a vote for the kind of person you want to be, and adaptability. It's what allows you to change course without losing your direction. To pivot when necessary. To evolve, not abandon, your purpose. It's what helps you shift your strategy without compromising your values. You are always becoming. Every moment, every choice, every response, you are carving your identity. It's not fixed, it's forged. Mastering yourself doesn't mean becoming robotic. It means cultivating a mind that is clear, focused, and agile. It means understanding your triggers, setting boundaries, and staying aligned with your principles. Even when tested, it means choosing discomfort in the short term, discipline, so you can build resilience in the long term, adaptability. When change hits, as it always does, ask yourself, am I meeting this moment with resistance or readiness? Am I falling apart or forging a better self? That's the Stoic path. Not a life free of problems, but a life full of practiced responses. Not blind optimism, but grounded strength. Not rigidity, but mastery. Discipline gives you the structure. Adaptability gives you the freedom. Together, they make you unstoppable. Become. The architect of your evolution. Change is not the thing to survive. It's the path to become, to grow, to transcend. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, they didn't avoid hardship. They faced it head-on, because they knew every storm was a lesson, every challenge a chance, and every change an opportunity to evolve into something stronger. So today, ask yourself, will you fear change or will you use it? Subscribe for more wisdom that cuts deeper than motivation and pushes you into transformation. This isn't just about Stoicism, it's about living fully, powerfully, purposefully, because you don't just endure change and you become through it.